Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September live event. I am your host, Ansel, and with me, as always, is Crystal Wishes, my lovely bride.
Hello.
We also today have our favorite and best known coffee drinker, Nalu,
Hello.
as well as our voice announcer, Runic,
Greetings.
and of course, one of our many angry people, Rosby.
I am angry at all of you.
Of course, in addition to other beloved guest stars such as Finiri and all of those from the usual patron chat. So, hello everybody and welcome. We're glad to have you. All right, so for this event, we have put together a little agenda, emphasis on little and less emphasis on agenda. And Crystal's going to take us through it since I haven't seen it, and it's kind of been a busy day. So, go ahead.
So that is the written agenda. First, we are going to go through some of the recent art that we have either commissioned or have had done. I kind of want to do that because I love art, I love sharing it, and it seems kind of like a fun little opportunity to share some art when we have a big captive audience. Then we have an infomercial from Runic about why you should become a Discord darling. Of course, I think most of you are our Discord darlings, which means, speaking to the choir, but hey, for those who listen to the YouTube recording later. Then I have a small update on the Authors Anonymous and how that has been going or how it has not been going. After that, we have the Author Talk, which we've talked about doing before, but haven't actually done yet. There was a lot of discussion on the Judgment chapter of Trials, which that discussion will obviously contain spoilers, so we will warn that there are going to spoilers, and I guess in the video I'll put spoilers or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But Ansel has some thoughts about all the discussion that went on and would like to talk about that. Then we have a writing workshop with Iris, who is going to speak about keeping momentum. After that, questions and answers.
Well done. So, we are going to start with the art showcase. You can't see it, but I just completely waved my hand across as if it was magic. So this art is related to commissions that we have done, things that our beloved local artists, we'll call them local artists, do, be that Rosby or Rami or Nalu or others. Fan art / professional art. Yes, I am very dramatic. Things of that nature. The audio is recorded on YouTube, the video is not. So, yes. So, starting with the art, or as we like to call it, the catwalk of art, Crystal will post and I will elaborate in many ridiculous ways. We're going to do this Antique Roadshow style this month. See, what you have here is a lovely piece by Nalu. This would be Azuleka, one of the Quill and Blade. What? No. One of the Quill and Blade alicorns. As you know, Azuleka was the ruler of the House of the Night. You can see her here in a wonderful autumn motif with a swan, who, if the swan is like normal swans, will be very belligerent and will ultimately be bucked. A beautiful piece, somewhat butterfly themed, I like to call it. Beautiful tail, and of course, one of the most excellent manes ever. Again, this wonderful piece by Nalu and can be yours for the low price of $2.5 million. Next up. Next up, we have Dawn's Azurite. Ah, yes, Dawn Walker, who only knows Azurite as the minx that stole her velvet. Imagine that this is what Azurite looks like in Dawn's head, which we all know in reality is nothing like this. But this is who Dawn sees when she thinks of who stole velvet. And of course, I'd like to point out the use of lines and colors in this particular piece. This wonderful piece was done by Shaza and can be yours for the low price of 2.6 trillion bits. Next slide. Yes, in this one, we have another Azurite, as you can see, by Midnight Premiere, who we met at BronyCon. Midnight Premiere was told to surprise me, and she came up with Azurite, getting ready to pounce. Azurite here, as you can see, is very determined, a little blushy, and her butt is wiggling, That's an extra feature you see. Normally the base model does not come with that, but this one can be yours for the low price of 62 mango bits. Next slide. Yes. Coming up next on QVC, QNB QVC, QNBVC. Yes, QNBVC is Sunset Coffee. This art is done by the renowned and reclusive artist Rosby. As you can see, Sunset Coffee is sort of a relaxed business type. His tie is loose, his collar is not misshapen, but must.
His tie is as loose as his morals.
Hey.
Sunset Coffee is not that kind of pony, thank you very much. But as you can see, he's a friendly, happy pony and is ready to go. This one can be had for 6 cups of cocoa. Next slide. Ah, yes, Dusty Mite. Another one by the reclusive Rosby Waves. Dusty Mite was once a poor colt who had no money and friends. So he chose to make his life being the servant of a pony who is kind of a bitch. The end. This one can be yours for the low price of 1,200 mops. Next slide. Ah, yes. I have no idea who this pony is. Next slide.
It's Frank.
There is no Frank. Next slide.
I can't even.
Next slide.
Okay, there's the next slide.
Ah, yes. Next up is a wonderful ditty by Rummy. As you can see, this features not O, but golden pants, or as I like to call it, return to the pants. First she was out of her pants, now she's in her pants. Now she is just pants. This one features a literal walk on the catwalk, and of course shows Golden's return to his blue, her blue. There's a secret under that dress, fellas. All right, and now this one can be had for the low price of 2 rolls of duct tape. Next slide.
That's it. That's the end. There is no more.
Oh, well, that's our show, everybody, and thank you for coming to QNBVC. Next month, we hope to have more for you. And of course, as always, as I like to say after this show that we've never had before, stay classy.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Do you have a place where you can hang out with friendly people? Don't answer that. I'm not paid to talk to you. I'm also definitely not being paid to tell you that if you're not already a regular member of the Discord channel, today just might be the day to reconsider that. We hang out, we laugh, we play, and most importantly, we sometimes get together and watch bad movies. So don't just sign off after the live event if you're here now, or navigate away from the YouTube channel if you're listening to this later. Hop on into the Q&B Discord server and become a Discord darling today. Q&B is not responsible for any energy psychosis incurred from laughter and shenanigans.
And we're back. All right. And yes, so. Well, as Crystal is now losing it, I have to move on. Who remembers what was next on the agenda? Because I don't.
There was nothing left after the agenda. It's things.
It's Authors Anonymous.
Authors Anonymous. All right. So Crystal is going to get her poo back together, and nope, she's gone.
I think it's too late.
All right. So while she calms down, I'm going to tell a story. All right. So on the Q&B, out at the Q&B headquarters, we are starting our newest Pathfinder campaign. It's been a while since we've played Pathfinder, and it includes Rosby, Runic, Marms, Crystal, and myself. We started a game last night. It's been fun. Let me look at her. She's probably fine. Okay.
Okay, so Authors Anonymous. This last round had some bumps. I've gotten some feedback. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to breathe. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to once a month so that people have more time to write, and we're going to wing with it there because some people have still expressed an interest in doing it, and it doesn't require a lot of effort from me. So there we go. We're going, lots of laughter incurred. So yes, Authors Anonymous is going to move to once a month, and we'll try that. We'll just wing it. people are still interested, then whatever. I do want to say, the previous round, one of these submissions was mine.
Yes. Never mind.
It's a secret. If you can figure it out, you will get an internet cookie.
Okay. I believe next on the agenda was my thing. All right. So I would like to say the previous chapter of Trials was probably the most successful one I've written today, at least as far as discussion goes. So given how discussy what it was, I thought we would do a brief little bit on that. Before we go into that, though, I would like to warn everybody, spoilers!
Spoilers end at time code 1840.
I just want to repeat that. Spoilers! If you're listening on YouTube and you have not caught up to the latest on Trials of Royal Guard, you really, really, really should not listen to spoilers! And a nice little pause here. And hopefully we will tell you where to skip to, but this will take just a little bit. Okay, so as everyone knows, spoilers! In the last chapter, Silent Knight went up for his medical review as far as whether he would be prepared to go back on duty. And he ran into a couple of colonels, well, actually a trio of colonels, or rather, technically it was a couple of colonels and a naval captain. They're all the same rank as far as pay grade, for those who don't know this sort of thing. And during that, it got very heated. It did not go well. And spoilers! I know Post-it's going to sample that, but that's fine. Now I've lost my train of thought by thinking that. Oh yes, Silent Knight resigned from the military. Yes, which of course generated the largest set of discussion of any of my stories ever. So I thought we'd discuss that today. It seems exciting. People were very interested in it. And I, wanted to kind of talk about things because people hit on a lot of stuff on both sides, which was really important. Oh yeah, no, this one was by far the most discussed ever. And most heated discussion ever, for sure. Politely heated. I don't really think there was any negative discussion, actually. So yeah. Anyway, it comes to a time where there's two major sides. There's the folks that think maybe Silent Knight overreacted. There's the people that feel that the officers were in the right. And of course, all things in between. What was the goal, and I think it showed very well from the comments what it looks like from what I've seen, the goal was the officers were not wrong. Their presentation was horrible. And the method by which they approached it was horrible. Yes, do you want to go bye-bye? 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 Bye! Mango did not want spoilers. She was very, very upset. Okay. So, anyway, one of the better points that was made was, Silent Knight did call them desk officers that don't need, that have no right judging him. And that resonated with some folks as appropriate and others as inappropriate, meaning that they need, that they don't have an understanding, or rather that these people, you can't do the job of fighting without them. And that's fine. So kind of one of the things that I looked for when I did it was the goal was for Silent Knight to have a bit of a negative reaction towards them, and of course feel very differently towards ponies that never left Equestria to go over to fight. And that would, of course, that's a big part of it. Another part was, it's clear that the method by which they presented the information was very poor, including bringing in things that were unrelated to it. So I think some folks caught that, which was good. And then, of course, Silent did overreact. And, one of the things that we noticed, which was interesting, was at some points he pluralized. Some people noticed that. I don't know if everyone did, but that was by design, not a typo. But it was a very powerful scene for me, because initially when I planned all this, I wasn't 100% sure at the time when I started that he was actually going to resign. But as I got through it, and as I had the plan for where he's going next, that's what happened. And it was just one of those things where it's like, where's he going with this? Yes, I think he's done. So, anyway, I wanted to say thank you to everybody for taking the time to do the discussions, keeping them civil, being passionate about it. My intention was that nobody was right. It's one of those situations where, in the end, nobody was right, everybody was wrong, and it's a goal of what's going to happen in the future. And of course, the most pointed part that Silent brought out was, you've got your little plans here. Good for you. What are you going to do when there's several thousand of me? You're going to be failures, and that's very key. Yes, exactly. It's the setup. It feels like a climax, but it's actually a setup. And so if we wanted to, discuss that, that's fine. If not, that's also fine. But we'll just give a few minutes here for that and go from there. So yes, the question channel is open, and if you want to do specific topics in this channel about it, we can do that. And if not, that's fine. But anyway, I just wanted to hit on it because it was such a big moment for the whole trilogy, and more importantly, from a discussion platform. And I'm very carefully trying to craft how I'm going to respond to the massive amount of comments, because there are so very many, and so very many that are deserving of more thorough analysis. Because again, Colden Guard had some really excellent points. I don't agree with all of them, but they're very excellent points. And some other people had some very excellent points as well that I don't fully agree with. And of course, there's also, in this particular case, nobody's right, nobody's wrong, because not all things are equal, and how everybody does is, of course, different. But and also things are not also the same in the sense that colonels in the equestrian military probably haven't been in as long as colonels in the American military have. As we see things like Shining Armor being a colonel and being a fairly young pony. A lot of people typing. I appreciate that, Arrow. Yep. Yeah, I did get a lot of props for that. And yep, Helical, good point as well. It's what I really look at is maybe they succeeded as military officers, but they failed as medical officers, is really what it comes down to. They did not look what was best for their patient, and instead look what might have been theoretically best for their view of what the military should have. Spoilers! One more time. Okay, well, anyway, I do just wanted to call it out, and I really do appreciate the commentary. I will get in there with all of y'all and get in the mix a little bit. It will be enjoyable. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to do our workshop. We're going to take a note here that at 16:23 is when we stopped spoilers. If I don't know how that's going to work out for timing and whatnot for planning for the recording, but anyway.
I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. I'll get it.
Okay. So our next step here is a writer's workshop, and as you all know, we've been asking for volunteers / sacrificial lambs to do workshops instead of just always us doing it. So Erie has put together one, and if he's prepared, we'll go ahead and let him get started. If he needs another minute, and we'll go from there. What did you volunteer for?
Well, today I learned I'm actually a sacrificial lamb, apparently. So that's new.
Is it
Hi,
really?
guys.
Is it really new?
I mean, maybe not. I am often the target for involuntary cuddle piles. So that happens. Hi, guys. I'm Arieris. I'm usually here on a Discord server, and I'm using this introduction thing to settle my nerves. Feel a bit better. So forgive me if I go a bit rambly.
You're okay.
I'll probably be a bit rambly to begin with. Let's get settled. I haven't done this really before, talked to a lot of people about writing. So forgive me if I, go off track or something. Stay with me. Stay with me. We're getting to the serious good stuff now. All the fun stuff is over. It's serious time. So I'm Arieris, or Irie, or Erie, or whatever else you want to call me. People tend to call me whatever because they can't pronounce my name, because I have the most difficult to pronounce name ever, and it's funny. But I'm a little fledgling writer with a massive 3 stories on fanfic. And I get a lot of encouragement from this chat, which is amazing. Mwah, love you guys all. You're amazing. So I am here to talk a bit about a question we had in the poll. We had a question of what you guys wanted to have discussed in this workshop. And one of these questions was how to keep momentum. And momentum is like this thing, this amazing thing that we all want to have. We want not just to write, but write fast. Because writing fast makes us have more progress, and that makes us feel good. It's this magical element that we want that keeps the flow going, and our words per minute are high enough so that we can, like, I don't know, publish 1 or 2 chapters a week, because, geez, that's ridiculous, and that's amazing, Crystal. Jeez. God, how do you do it?
Hey, what about me? Come on, dude.
You too, Ansel. Okay.
Thanks.
You're not important, Ansel.
I only did 1 chapter this week, though.
What about me?
You don't write anything.
I mean,
Rip.
you're all amazing, but not in the same way that Crystal is, or Ansel is.
Aw.
I love that I'm always the second add-on. I see how this is. It's fine, Erie.
Well, Crystal is my bro. I gotta favor her a little bit, man. Come on.
Fair
And it's
enough.
alphabetical. A comes after C.
Obviously.
All right.
Clearly. You get where I'm going now.
Please continue.
I shall. But we aren't Crystal, unfortunately. And if you're anything like me, you would have wondered about how to keep momentum. And you will have experienced this kind of difficulty when you're writing, or at least when you're trying to write, you know? Because sometimes it just doesn't happen to us. And like, it's these moments that you get distracted. This thing popped up, someone messaged you on Discord or on Skype, and then you go back and there's this blank page in front of you. And you just don't know what to do with it, right? You have ideas in your head, you want to write it down, but it just doesn't happen as easily. And so, for me at least, it kind of gets into this downward spiral that can happen. And it's like, oh my god, I'm going to have to put effort into this. It's going to be hard. People even care? Why am I writing this? Nobody's going to read this. And then at that point, I just leave this document alone because that's much easier. But I still want to write this story. And so what I think is interesting when I think of the question of how to keep momentum is how you can look further than that. And that's what I want to do here. Like, instead of here are 5 tips that will help you keep momentum and then everything will be okay. Instead of that, I want to go a bit further. Think about the underlying questions or issues that may be there. Because in order to keep momentum, we must first build momentum. To build momentum, we must first be writing. Brief break. Ooh, I tend to talk really fast, so if I'm too fast, please let me know.
You're doing fine, don't worry.
So, okay. Like I said, if you're anything like me, you would have experienced maybe this downward spiral. And if that's the case, then I hope that these tips and my perspective can help you. And even if it isn't the case, then maybe you can still learn from them. Like, I believe it's always useful that you can learn what you can from anyone else, because their perspective is unique. The first part, how to start writing. I want to touch on that, your motivation. Like, why are you writing? Or why are you writing this particular story? And I want then you to try to clearly define that in like a sentence or 2, right? I am writing because of this. I'm writing this story because of this. What this does, what I'm trying to give you here is like this kind of mental anchor you can hold on to, right? So if you ever start thinking, why am I writing this, or nobody's going to care, you can kind of grab onto that and you'll remember, you care. This is why you're writing it. You care. You can't control other people, but if you can motivate yourself, then that's a motivation you can last, because it's like self-sustaining, right? So for myself, from personal experience, I can look at my latest 2 stories, which is The Sun's End and A Touch of the Contrary. The Sun's End was an idea I had for a long time, like a year or something, right? And it was this thought, and it's like, there's Celestia, and I'm going to portray her how I see her, and it's going to be at a very important moment in her life, and it's going to ooze with awesome character and everything. And then it took me 4 months to write that, and it's like 4.5 hours or 4.500 words. 1,000 words. Whoa. Because like every time I started writing it, it was just hard to get started. I wanted to write it because it's cool, and I didn't really think about it. On the flip side, Touch of the Contrary took me a week from like when I thought of the concept and until I'd written it. Took me a week to complete it, and this was literally just a conversation between two characters that I thought was funny. And in part that was because when I started writing it, I defined what I wanted. I wanted to have a fun conversation between these two characters, and I'm going to use it to practice my dialogue mechanics. That was pretty much it. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And that helped me just to get started. Of course, between the two stories, like I learned a lot about writing. So not everything is like, thanks to me having defined my goal, that's not the end all be all. But what it helped me with is get over that first hurdle to start from nothing and to begin writing that story. And so that's how I used kind of defining my goal. And you can use this to also get yourself motivated. Because again, like if you can get yourself motivated, that's the best thing ever. You can totally write down from, I want to write this because it's awesome. Odds are it is. It's really awesome. If that helps you start writing, then you totally should go for that. You should totally be excited for what you're going to write. You should totally be excited for what's going to happen next in your story. And you can use that excitement kind of as a fuel to keep you going. For this one, there's if you do this, I don't know if anyone is already doing this, but if you want to give this a try, clearly define your goal in 2 sentences. And I want to give you 2 challenges kind of for this. The first one is that your goal should be enough to keep you going, which can be hard to gauge because, you know, you don't really have a way of knowing when your goal stops being enough to keep you going. And that also doesn't mean like you have to write a 10-page essay on what your motivations are just so that you know it is enough. But you can change it up. You can change this motivation whenever you want. If you find that the motivation you first had written down isn't enough for you anymore in like a month from now, because you have new experiences, you've learned a lot new things, then you can change your kind of your goal for what you want to write for. Because well, if it isn't well enough for you to keep you going, then replacing it, changing it up, is just a fix. The second one for this is to try and have a way to try to think of a way that your writing can have a positive effect on others. Like what I did with Touch of the Contrary as well is that when I wrote it, I wanted to make people laugh, right? Because I thought this would be funny, and I want people that read this to be entertained. But this can also be like you want people to experience a particular feeling, or you just want them to enjoy the ride. But it's this involvement from other people that kind of adds a bit of selflessness, and that can give you that extra push you need to help you. And maybe you don't need it. Maybe after a while that you've used this, you've grown out of it, and you don't even need it anymore. You can just let it be, and that's actually a great thing. Because what that means is that you've grown as a writer, and growth is something you should always strive for and celebrate whenever you've done something awesome. So, okay, we've got the motivation now. There's still something stopping us, though. It can be anything, but that is probably unique for you as a writer. For me, and I've identified this by just like thinking about the problem. I myself kind of feel lost sometimes. I don't really know where I'm going. I know that I want to move my characters from A to B, but there are like a million different paths I can take to get there. And so when I'm like trying to start writing, I just don't know which to take, and I'm stuck thinking what to do. And so, like, to fix this, I kind of have like a little brainstorm session where I just go wild with ideas. And then I just need a starting point for that. So, for example, I have a character that is a weather pony with trust issues. And in the beginning chapters, I need to set that character. I need to convey what this character is and what makes him unique, and what his thing is, what makes him click. So, like, what are the things that happen around him that I can use to kind of make a weather metaphor, because he's a weather pony? What is a little quirk or twitch that I can give him to get his lack of trust across? And then I just like think about things that could happen, and I start like really wide. Is it something up in the air? Is it something on the ground? Does he interact with other ponies, or does he not? Does he just see something in the scenery he is in? And once I have a bunch of these ideas written down, I can kind of combine them, and that's when I start to narrow down that, well, he's in a shopping mall, it's really, really busy, and he gets bumped, like another pony bumps into him, and he falls over, and then that pony tries to help them up, and they extend a hoof and they smile at him, and he is like, I don't trust that smile. I bet they're the one that pushed me down. And that's how I can get his lack of trust across. And that's kind of how my process go, and that's how that gives me direction into where can more clearly see how to get from A to B by going in this path. Another, well, I guess technique we're talking about here now, which is one that Crystal taught me. It's a stream of consciousness writing. And this is basically you writing down thoughts that just go through your mind as they happen. Like right now, it's like, oh, I'm talking to all these Discord people about keeping momentum. I've been really nervous. I should probably not have said that, because I know for sure that Goharu is going to take note of that and make my life miserable later. Ta-da! That's kind of how you start off with. And then you can go into like any topic you want, where you just keep random thoughts going through your head, and just write them down. Just write them down. And what this does is, it's a bit of a warm-up session, really, right? You kind of get used to typing out things on your keyboard, and you don't really have to think about it. Well, you think about it because you need to write down your thoughts, but you don't have to think about it in the same way as a story where you have to figure out what's going to happen next. You just write it out. So yeah, it's this warm-up exercise that kind of gets you in the writing zone and gives you this little bit of momentum to again help you over that first hurdle to starting to write. And I usually combine these two, actually. Like, I start with stream of consciousness writing, just random thoughts, whatever happened last to me, I write about that. And then I transition into brainstorming, and I come up with new ideas. And then I go into my document to write for my story with the ideas that I've just come up with fresh in my mind, even though I might change them later on, but that's okay. And I'm going to tell you why that's okay later on. The last little tip, I guess, there still is, because sometimes you know where you're going, you know which path to take. You don't know one thing. Is this the beginning of my chapter or not? So this is another tip that Crystal gave me, is to just start with a scene, whichever scene it is. It doesn't have to be the start of the chapter, can be in the middle, can be at the end, wherever. As long as you know for sure that you want to write the scene, go write that scene. And later on, you'll figure out whether or not it's the beginning, or it's somewhere in the middle, or it's somewhere at the end. You'll figure out if some things need to happen before that. Like again, with The Sun's End, my first story started at what I wanted to be the beginning, and I got stuck trying to move to the next scene. With Touch of the Contrary, I just started with Subtle Touch at the bar, saying hi to Dolly, and went from there. And then I later realized I need to set the scene and kind of get his mood across. And so later on, I filled in that before him meeting Dolly at the bar. And so this should get you to start writing. Part of this is also just like diligence and discipline. Like, you just need to do it, and you're the only person that's going to make you do it. So go out there and do it and write something awesome, because yes, it's awesome. And so this was part 1. Now part 2, if you're still along for the ride. Sorry, what happened? Did I miss something? Standing by. Oh.
She's not queuing up. She's just telling you that you're awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you. Okay, anyway. So now we've started writing. And that's already great. Awesome. Give yourself a cookie. You've started writing. Feel good about that. Now you got to keep the ball rolling. You got to get it rolling and keep rolling. And there's a difference in momentum. That's like you have momentum while you're writing, and you have momentum between writing sessions. So there's a bit of a difference between that. And the best thing you can really do to keep momentum between writing sessions is to write something every day. Because, like I said, it's hard to start out. It's hard to start from a blank page and have the world open for you. Go with whichever direction you want and pick one. It's hard to do. But if you start doing that and you keep doing that, it becomes easier. You probably won't be writing at a super high pace immediately, though, and that's fine. Like, I actually recommend, if you're just starting writing, you might just want to take it slow to begin with. And you're going to tell yourself, like, I'm going to write like 2 or 3 sentences every day. And then later on in a week or something, you say, I'm going to write 300 words every day or something. That might be too big of a jump, maybe, but it's just to start slow and keep writing every day. Get yourself like familiar with writing in general, just how you write and your writing process and how it feels comfortable to you. And then try to challenge yourself by doing a bit more. And I mean, maybe you have a pace where you're comfortable with just writing a few hundred words every day. Like, you can set your own pace. It's totally fine. But you kind of have to discover that. And the best way is just like by trying to challenge yourself to do a little bit more after a time. It's just really the thought behind is that writing gets easier as you keep your word count moving, because again, it gives you this constant sense of progress. And if you stop writing and you lose that sense of progress, it just becomes that much more easier to leave your story where it is, because it's just not worth the effort to once again build up that momentum. So writing every day. And to help us keep that word count kind of moving as we're writing, here's some Captain Obvious knowledge for y'all, okay? The more you are focused, the more words you will be able to write. Which is, yes, makes sense, right? Okay, cool. But what the underlying thought is here is that the more effort you put into your writing, you also, the more reward or feeling of reward you get out of it. Because I said earlier, it's like, we want momentum because we'll be more productive, and being more productive makes us feel good. And we don't want to be stuck spending hours and hours and just writing a couple of words every day, and then you only end up being able to write 4,000 words in 4 months because, oh my god, Sun's End, I thought you were so awesome. And then it just turned into a bit of a harsh mess. It was really hard to write. But the more you'll be able to focus on actually your writing, and this means like clearing away distractions, don't get distracted in your head as well, and all that. The more words you'll be able to write, and the more reward you will get out of that. And that can sometimes be hard, because you'll look at the clock and you see you have like an hour to write, but then you need some time to get started. You need this preparation time. So it's actually less than an hour. And then you might be a bit hungry, or you might be a bit thirsty, so you need to get something to eat and drink. So that's going to take up time as well. And then you realize that you don't really have that much time to write at all. But you should still write. Because even if you write for 20 minutes, it's still 20 minutes of writing. It's still 20 minutes of progressing your story. It's still 20 minutes of you learning from writing, from doing writing. And that is still valuable time that you can use. But then there are also times too that you cannot write, right? Like you're traveling or you're not at home where you can type on your document. And you can kind of use this time to also keep your momentum by just thinking about your story and just trying to do this. Well, for me, it's like this brainstorming session, just on the road as I get home, as I get ready to start writing when I'm home. And so then when I am home, I would like to, which I don't, which I really need to be better in, I'd like to give writing my undivided attention. And that means clearing out the distractions. And that is something you also have, like with everyone being individual, it's also something you have to find out for yourself as to what distractions you need clearing that works for you. I would say mostly focus on other things that you can type at. For me, that would be closing Skype, shoving away Discord. I'm not going to close Discord because I'll end up like, I don't know, clicking on it by accident as I do because it's become habit because I love this chat. But I like mute Discord, put it away, I exit Steam, I close my internet browsers, anything. I try to clear away everything that stops me from typing on my document. And then I like move everything to my second monitor and turn off my second monitor so that even when I accidentally click on the Discord icon, I will not see it because my monitor is off.
Yeah, I know somebody else that has that problem. It's not me.
It's me.
Aww.
That's really good advice. You have to limit your distractions.
Yes. So Discord is gone at that point. I win. Take that. And you don't really know how much that might work for you or not. And a way that maybe can help you, which is what I'm also going to start doing, is kind of like a way of gauging your focus by looking at how much you've written in any given time. So every time you finish a writing section or session, you look at how much you've written in how much time. You kind of just write that down. And this way you kind of track your productiveness. And again, if you see you've had a good writing day, you'll feel good about that. And if you see that you've had a little bit of a less well done writing day, as you maybe can hear dogs barking outside, you can try to identify why that is. Maybe you were just a bit sick, or maybe you got hungry throughout the session, or anything that can really happen. But maybe you just got distracted a lot by this one thing. And by keeping that in mind and shoving that away for the next time you're writing, you can see if it helps your productiveness or not. What's important is that you recognize what takes away your focus and try to stop that from being a distraction for the next time. And really what you're trying to do is preventing yourself from splitting your attention between different things, because if you keep skipping between two different things, your mind is never going to be in the one place you want it to be. And by putting it all into writing, you'll be able to get more out of it. And so again, like all these tips that I may have said, I'm getting to the end here. They all may work for you, and maybe they won't work for you. I don't know how Crystal or Ansel managed their focus. I think I saw Crystal a couple of times talking in Discord. I know that for sure.
Yep.
But it can maybe also help you, which is weird. It's kind of contradictory to what I'm saying. But if you're stuck in a particular line of thinking, it can help you to just stop thinking about it. look at something else and then get back to it, because because at that point you're stuck in a loop and you can't get out of it, and so you need to break your focus to get out of it. But yeah, the essence of my message here is that the more effort you put into writing, as I've said, the more you get out of it. But you should find a good balance for you. You should not put in more effort than is comfortable with you. Because, I mean, we as, fan fiction writers, which I guess most of us are here, most all, it's a hobby for us. And so you want to keep it light. Keep it light. You don't have to publish 2 chapters every week, but if you want to, that's fine. Find what works for you. So yeah, with all these tips, as I go make a list, which is a long list, which is defining your motivation, getting yourself excited, having all the pieces to build scenes, and knowing which direction you're moving your story in, having a little warm-up session, and starting in whichever scene feels good for you, and then writing something every day, and trying to track your performance. And I think with this, I hope, at least, that I've given you a bit of knowledge on how to keep your momentum. 2 things in closing. Everyone is a different writer. Everyone has a different writing process. So not everything that I've told here may work for you, but they have worked for me. The best we can do, or I can do, is tell you about my experiences so that you may learn from them as well. And if nothing else, you can give these a try for whenever you're stuck. If you find yourself stuck, give one of these a try, and they may help you. And lastly, every word you write is valuable. Right? Every word does something. It progresses your story, but it helps you grow as a writer. And don't be afraid to do the same thing I was afraid of, or still am kind of afraid of, which is to write something that you know you're going to change later on. Because if you don't write them, you won't get back to it with the same insight as you would have otherwise. Don't get stuck in trying to write the perfect novel on your first draft. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen. The more you write, the more experience you'll get. And the better insight you will have once you actually edit your story. So now go out there and write. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Good job.
Well done.
Oh my god, that was nerve-wracking!
You did it.
Yeah, but you did it.
You kept your momentum.
That's right. You did it. I know that's difficult to do. So well done. Thank you for taking the time. And as always, if anyone wants to submit a particular topic, we can have guest speakers the next events. Just send us a topic, a specific one that you'd like to do, and we'll let you cover it. Again, Erie, well done. I know it's very, very difficult to speak in front of people if you're not used to it, but you did very, very well. Okay.
Thunderblast has helped. Hopefully. Go out there and write, Thunderblast. I wish you the best.
All right. So, yes, next up is question and answer time. If you want to drop your questions in live event queues, we'll start answering them. And we do have a backlog, so let me scroll. Okie dokie. All right. So Rosby wants to know what time it is down to the millisecond. And to that I say, it's time to answer questions. .123.
I'll accept that.
All right. Rosby, if Rosby had a favorite type of weather, what would it be?
That was to me?
Yes. If Rosby had a favorite type of weather, what would it be?
Well, probably any sort of inclement weather would be delightful. Something with a nice mesocyclone, some nice river green clouds, the possible threat of a microburst. I think that would be just lovely.
Very good.
Or thunder snow. Thank you, Nalu. That's also wonderful.
All right. Thunder snow. All right. Crystal. Will Crystal ever write a murder mystery under a pseudonym?
Who says she hasn't?
Dun dun dun.
It's a mystery.
Oh my god.
Rosby and Crystal, will your shenanigans ever stop?
No.
No.
Crystal, will we ever see an epic Ouija versus feral duel?
It is not in my current plans.
Rosby, of the minuscule amount of Q&B you've read, what do you enjoy the most?
Easily the correct answer is anything with red.
I'll take it.
Ephemeral, does Ephemeral Moon have any other hobbies aside from Rocket League?
Partying and
Say boys.
oh, that's brilliant. Partying and boys, often at the same time.
That's perfect.
I love you, F. Just want you to know that.
You're the best.
All right. Let's see here. Crystal, what is your favorite pony outside of yours and those that you know personally?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me just pull up the old favorites list here so I can remember.
You keep a list of your favorite ponies?
The ones you can't
Pony
remember.
Pony stories.
No, pony. What is? Oh, Pony Story. Okay. Apparently, I read it but didn't absorb it.
While she's looking, we shall tap dance. You will not be able to see it, but it is glorious.
Unfortunately, most of what I read is from y'all, so
You need to expand your horizons.
I do. That's my answer. My answer is I need to expand my horizons.
Mine's Little Pip. All right, Nalu. What would you
God.
say is your favorite pun that you can remember that Painted has made?
I actually did a little homework on this. The alchemical one from the chapter "Blast from the Past" in Wishes.
I'm very proud of that.
But like my favorite punny exchange has to be the Tea Party one for not the Tea Party, but the calming tea discussion from Thinking Out Loud.
I love it.
Okay. Enzel, your current work schedule makes it hard for you to write, but you still publish a chapter a week. Do you have any advice for folks who struggle to find time due to their own work and or school? Yes. So first advice would be to listen to Erie's little workshop. That would be a good start. And the big one is to find what works for you. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but I will tell you what works for me, but it may not work for you, which you would also have learned from Erie's workshop had you listened. But you didn't because you're an ass. So basically, what I do is I am a diarrhea on page writer. And what I mean by that is I have to finish something to give it structure. I have to put bones down. So what I will do is I will have a target for a chapter. I will know a few things that need to get done, and I will force words onto the page even if they are completely crappy, just moving towards the direction I want to go. And that's usually yields not what I want, but the point of the matter is I get about the amount of words I need. And I just kind of get rid of distractions. I schedule a little time for it, and as Erie says, you just do a little bit at a time, and I get the words down. And I don't really worry about whether, if I do an hour's worth at the beginning of the day and 2 hours worth at the end of the day, I don't really worry if all the words together make sense. I just kind of get them on the page going in the right direction. Once I've finished that, then what I'll do is I'll let someone else have a read. Sometimes I won't, but usually at this point I always let Crystal have a read. Then I go back, read it myself, and then start tweaking because it's so much easier for me to tweak existing words, make them all fit and flow, and that's how I get a much better chapter. So the short answer is just put words on the page. Don't worry if they're perfect or not because you can always fix it in editing, and that's how they do. All right. Rosby, what would it take to get you to participate in Authors Anonymous?
Nothing, because I'm going to. That's
Yes!
right. I'm going to.
Crystal, where do you get all your good advice for people?
Ooh, I get it from my brain.
It's a
No,
cop-out.
it is a cop-out. I get it from being anxiety-ridden and low self-esteem myself and having to learn to get better at that and pass that knowledge learned the hard way to others so that they don't have to struggle. Is that a better answer?
Eh.
Thanks. That's helping my low self-esteem.
Eh.
All right, Crystal Nanzel, what do you look forward to most for BronyCon 2017? What didn't you do at 2016 that you plan to do this time around, if anything? I will answer first. For me, I look forward to most of the same, meeting everybody. I'm kicking around the idea of submitting a panel, which would basically end up being the panel would be the live event for the month that BronyCon is, which I think is August next year or July. I don't know which one, but we would do it live from BronyCon. That would be kind of exciting if we could work it out. I'm sure we probably could, and that's kind of we would go from there. So while we spoke on the panel, it would also hopefully go into Discord. And if it didn't, oh well, but whatever, we would do that. So I think look forward to that. What didn't you do in 2016 that you plan to do this time around, if anything? I can sum that up in one word: ephemeral.
Oh, baby. Your turn.
Safe for work, people.
Good lord.
I know, right? They're just impossible.
Can't take y'all anywhere.
I know. I look forward to most meeting. It's the same for me. Is the meeting the people, and now that I know people have been making plans, more people are going to be there that we didn't meet last time. I'm super looking forward to that and having fun. What I didn't do in 2016 and that I plan to do in 2017, I am going to cosplay a little. So that is what I'm looking forward to, and at the same time, I'm going to do Star Butterfly from Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Well done. I'm going to cosplay as a mid-30s, ultra-white fan fiction writer for My Little Pony.
Good luck pulling that off.
Are you sure you have the funds for that?
I think so. We'll see. I'm gonna have the guns for it, though. I'm flexing. No one can see that, but trust me, it looked good.
So good.
Okay, Ansel, do you have any plans to assign antagonist roles with fan OCs?
I can answer that.
Okay.
Depending on how you define antagonistic, it has already been done. Madame Ouija is a patron's OC.
Yes, but the question was to Ansel.
Yeah, I know, but no one cares about what you plan to do.
Okay. Well, next question then. Ansel, would you ever write a reverse perspective from a point of view of the Griffin story with Silent as antagonist? Yes, it would look like this. Oh, look! The end. All right. No, I don't have a current plan for that, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't. Although that'd be very difficult, because, again, it might be interesting, though. But it would largely end with a lot of dead griffins. Spoilers. All right, Ansel and Crystal, what is your favorite type of character to write? My favorite type to write is super happy and silly. So Azurites and Sunny Days, that's my favorite.
I'm trying to think of what I've had the most fun writing, and I think I actually have the most fun writing Horsey, the normal character, I guess is the way to put it. Something about writing a completely normal OC or character is really fun. So, like, when I get to write Sunset Coffee, you know, the normies. And I guess, on top of that, is writing a very normal OC and then making it interesting still somehow.
Ephemeral, you were promoted from patron to Royal Guard and now are the head of the Royal Guard. What's next for you? What's next for Ephemeral?
World domination. But first, I need my QMB harem. That's a key point.
Well done.
I'm waiting for flowers.
You have to romance Rosby a little bit. Trust me.
Do you like roses?
I could deal with them.
Roses it is.
Crystal, will Lovey ever go back to see about that tangled love line of a certain weather Pegasus?
So Lovey got a better look at it, and she's pretty sure it'll sort itself out. The other end of it, she can't see it because she didn't look at it. But the other end of it looked very strong and persistent.
Crystal, will we ever see the character development of a certain weather Pegasus?
Yes. Yes, we will.
Crystal and Ansel, starting with Crystal. What superpowers would you give your characters?
Ooh. Probably like. Okay, so we gotta think like they're in a world of magic, so superpower has to be pretty cool, right? Like flight isn't really a superpower in My Little Pony because it's like, well, you could just be a Pegasus.
Yeah, you need like super flight, you know.
Yeah, like super flight. So if I could give, I guess we're talking Crystal.
Sure.
Sure. If I could give Crystal a superpower, it would probably be like one of Star Butterfly's, like her super egg mega cupcake love beam. Just,
Mine would be so much better. I would give Azurite the spell that can make ponies 2 inches shorter than her. And she would just go around zapping every pony, and the whole world would get smaller, including the alicorns. And then basically Azurite would be the biggest pony.
That is genius.
Well, it's what I do. I'm amazing. And then I just tossed my hair, even though I don't have any. Okay, Ansel, if Silent got magical abilities, what type of magic would he have? If Silent got magical abilities, he would definitely like just basic levitation, so he could play with his miniatures a little easier. But I think were he to do that, I would say he would like the ability to forget, and he would like the ability to help others, to heal if he had to. Runic.
That got dark.
Hey, what do you want from me? Runic, what is your favorite explosive and non-explosive experiment? Follow-up question. Runic, are you paying attention?
We can't hear him.
Third follow-up. Runic.
Is that working?
Yes.
There we go. I hate this thing. All right, so most explosive, I guess, would be the beanstalk incident, which Ansel was there for. And I guess least explosive would be turning ears of corn into geodes, which actually imploded. So that's kind of the opposite of exploding.
Well done. Marms, do you like marmalade?
She's refusing to speak, I suppose.
She doesn't have a mic.
Well, why don't you share yours?
Wow, rude.
All right. Runic, what made you turn to alchemy-based sciences?
Alchemy-based sciences. Because alchemy is awesome and it explodes.
That's a valid point. All right, this one is for pretty much everybody that has a mic. So,
And apparently someone who doesn't have a mic.
what is your favorite dessert? Mine would have to be anything that's not super sweet. So that'd be mine. I like angel food cake with strawberry glaze and fruit. I like that a lot. Fruit tarts, that sort of thing. Crystal?
I legitimately do not know how to pick, but I suppose I am a pumpkin spice fiend. So, pumpkin spice truffles.
Rosby?
The obvious answer is red velvet cake.
Just the way you said that made it sound really dirty. I just want to point that out. Runic?
Supposed to.
I guess I'd go with like a good brownie sundae.
F?
I'm thinking banoffee pie or strawberry cheesecake.
I see.
Strawberry cheesecake is a good choice.
Erie?
I love everything you guys have put out there. Oh, Erie, let me
Unleash me! Okay. I'm boring. I don't know. I just like caramel ice cream.
It's not boring. It's good. And Nalu?
Coffee cake.
Shocking.
Right?
Fair.
Could never have seen that coming.
I like strawberry daiquiri cupcakes, and I like brownies, and I like basically any dessert you can put in front of me. Everything everyone has mentioned.
As long as it has sugar.
Strawberry tea cakes.
Except nerd ropes.
Nerd ropes are too sweet. There's like a sweet overload.
I have one sitting literally right in front of me.
Did you steal it from my house?
No, I did not.
That was
I could
convincing.
have, but I didn't.
All right. Crystal and Ansel, how do you go about picking topics for the writing workshops? Good question. So there's a couple of methods. Method one is we typically come up with ideas that have recently come up in our lives and put a poll out and let people pick. That's one way. Two is one of us wants to bitch and we turn it into something positive. And three is, like in Erie's case, when we ask for volunteers, if someone comes to us and says, I have a specific topic, here's what I'd like to talk about, can I do that? Then, the answer is usually yes. So we're welcome to host guest speakers anytime. and we just need you to have a specific topic and kind of an idea, and then kind of an outline. It's typically for about 15 to 20 minutes is what we're looking for, and that's how we go. And Crystal, that was also addressed to you in case you have any different thoughts.
You pretty much covered it. I take users' suggestions, and I'm the one that puts together the polls. Yeah, Erie, it's okay. It's okay. You had a lot to say.
Okay, let's see here. Next up, where are we? Ansel, in Diplomacy and Force, Silent talks about improving his bipedal tasks, skill and type. Is that part of a normal regimen? Does he continue to use this ability, or is it fallen by the wayside? So it's not part of a normal regimen, but for Pegasi that can use their wings to keep themselves aloft to easier use their front hooves, they do typically do that. But it's not a standard Royal Guard training, as all Royal Guard training typically relates around things all ponies can do, and then with some specializations for things that all ponies can't do. Let's see, Ansel, what are your general plans after Trials is over? Well, let's see here. And let's think about that. Just kidding, I don't have to think about it. So once Trials is over, that will end the trilogy. Hopes will probably end shortly after that, if not sooner, depending on how that goes. And that will mark the end of the main story. At that point, I'll have to reevaluate, see what I want to do. I might tell stories in between, but for the universe, we'll pretty much have a fixed start and end. We'll be also working on our Beyond the Veil story, which doesn't relate to any of the really characters that are in the currently ones. None of them play a massive role in that story. So it depends on where we're at with that and how successful that is if we want to continue with that, because it's kind of a different perspective. Other than that, I'd like to do some more with Azerite, and I'd like to explore a few other characters, and maybe also just do some stuff in between, like Night and Day I really enjoyed, where it just shows the fun side, and things of that nature. So I'll probably end up at that point, once I close this out, I'll probably end up writing more fun, fluffy stories for a while. That'd be my guess. But as to, there will likely not be another of a Royal Guard, and if there is, it will likely not be, it's not going to relate to this plot. So, tough to say. Crystal, have you ever thought about Crystal traveling camping?
I have thought about it, and I can say nothing more.
Okay. What did I skip?
Iriaris, are you irritated?
No, I didn't skip that. I ignored it. There's a difference.
It has been asked.
Ouch. I am arigatoful. So
That's an appropriate response.
I hope you liked it.
I did, actually. I wasn't expecting it.
So, Ansel and Crystal, if Silent and Crystal were alone on a deserted island in the middle of a vast blue ocean, how would they survive?
On the power of love.
Yes. Their not cuddling would generate enough electricity to power the whole island and economy, and eventually someone would see the lights. Ansel and Crystal, what sort of questions are you tired of getting? Nothing too much from my perspective. I'm not tired of anything. I will say one that I feel like I've answered enough, and there's enough answer out there. Is I get often asked, about my military service, but I'm not tired of it. It's just I feel like the answer's out there. Crystal?
I had a blog post about this. That's all I'm gonna say.
Indeed. Crystal, what is your favorite poem?
I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It's Dearest Love, Return Again, Make Not Too Long a Stay. Something. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. It's got some poetic imagery in it that I really like.
All right, well done.
I don't know why I can't find it. I'm going to randomly say the name of it and who wrote it when I do find it, so just continue on.
Okay. Let's see here. Rosby, are you agrosvated?
Right now, I am sated, so no.
Okay. Not so much a question, but kind of. Crystal, it's over, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it over?
Mary Roth.
Answered and moved on. Ansel, is a ball better than a doll or not? Wouldn't say it's better, but we'll just have to see how that works out. Ansel, when you're walking outside with Mango, does your arm get tired of holding her up, or has it helped you gain the raw power to act as a branch forever? I don't really get tired too much with her, although she's a little fat little bird. Fat for bird. A little overweight, little pudgy. It's okay. But actually, what the most exhausting part about holding her is outside is scary, the sun is scary, the wind is scary, the neighbors are scary, the grass is scary, other birds are scary. So she takes her little footses and she digs her claws into my finger and my arm as she tries to hold on for dear life. Enzel, reindeer Silent Night for Christmas or nah? Yeah. Silent Night has a sense of humor. He would do that. And so, spoiler on this one. Spoiler, if anyone wants to plug their ears for 3 seconds. If Silent Night left the military, does that include the Royal Guard as well? Yes. The Royal Guard is a military branch. So, as of the current chapter, he is 100% out.
Dun, dun, dun.
Enzel, Nightmare Night as a spinoff. Who says it's not going to be in Trials? There you go. Enzel, what would Silent Night be if he never became a Royal Guard? Professional hoofball player. Professional gigolo. Professional not weather pony. Or professional door pony. Alright, so Ansel, Crystal, Rosby, and Runic, what's your favorite Pokemon? Ponyta. And
Obviously,
Rosby's... Go ahead.
Gen 1 for me, because Gen 1 is superior, and I haven't really played any of the others, but Sandshrew.
And I know what Rosby's is.
Continue then.
It's the one that looks like a splatter of...
It's Ditto. Whatever you're going to say, stop it. It's Ditto.
Ditto.
I'm a fan of the 3 legendary birds. Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. I had to think for a second.
Ansel Crystal, for April Fool's Day 2017, should we all turn into Zomagod again? No, I think that would be ineffective. Very.
No, it's who should we all turn into instead of Zomagod? I can say that I have an April Fool's Day plan for next year.
Me too. It's called Divorce of a Royal Guard.
Hey!
Damn.
Rude.
The joke, of course, is when the next day comes over and the chapter doesn't come back down. Let's see, Crystal Nanzel, how rough estimate of how long we are from the point where the main storylines are both completed? I would say for out of the shadow of a doubt, Trials runs through the entire rest of this year, and probably so. Trials has easily got another 25 to 30 chapters, without a shadow of a doubt.
I have no idea. It's got chapters left. Multiples of them.
All right. Well, that has taken us through the Q&A, which is good because it's about 5:30. So I want to thank everybody. If you want to get your last questions in, we'll call this last call. You have just a few minutes to get last few in, and then we're going to call that done.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Nalu, what do you like painting the most?
Actually, they can stay here.
I know, it's just, it doesn't...
Stuff and also things.
But which do you prefer, stuff or things?
God, don't make me choose.
I like to imagine your studio with several easels put up because, you know, you work a little bit here, you work a little there, but inevitably, all of them are just a painting of a coffee mug.
Do you have a camera in my house? Should I be concerned?
A modern day Andy Warhol.
Would you be? Do you need to be concerned, or do you just want part of the proceeds? What is concern? All right. Helical asks, when do you guys think? When do you think you guys will look into publishing more books, if at all? There will be an at all. The major problem and holdup right now is time. So Crystal is supposed to be working on Wishes and getting that ready. She's achieved somewhere between nothing and very little. I've been working on Secrets, where I've also achieved something between nothing and very little. I'm in chapter 2. We want to do one for Christmas, is what I will say. We would like to have the first half of Crystal Wishes out so that you could get it in time for Christmas, which will also be a reprint of Memoirs at the same time, a slightly different Memoirs in the sense that we'll probably reduce the font size, or we may just not, so that we can just order the same thing. But we would like to get them out and in your house by Christmas, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, I'm basically not making much progress at all on that.
Yeah.
Problem is, yeah, just time. You guys want updates, don't you?
Yep, that is the trick. Let's see, Ansel, state of Azubites. Nowhere. It takes me all my effort to get trials out, and I'm ahead finally a little bit on trials, so I might have some free time. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep that for the things. Work is calming down a little bit, so I might be able to do a little more, but haven't been in the real mood to write them, and because I've been enjoying trials, and I haven't had the time, so they are currently non-starter. Let's see here. Ansel, what is an interodine device? Interoterine device. I have no idea. If it's something I've said, then I've clearly misspelled something. I'm not sure. I don't know. Ansel, if you were given a book and told not to read it, what would you do? I was told not to read it. Like by who? Like by a creepy old guy on the street, or like a powerful being? I probably wouldn't read it because it'd probably be like everything else I have. It would just go on my desk somewhere and I'd forget about it and never get around to it. So probably wouldn't read it.
Man in a shop who gives it to you and tells you it's cursed.
Oh, then I definitely wouldn't read it because I'm not stupid and I don't want to be in a horror movie. See, Ansel Crystal, do you think about writing while working a regular job? If so, how much? Yes, I do. I frequently do. So I do a lot of my writing and planning on my ride to work. So in the morning, and so that often means as soon as I get in the office, I have it on my mind, and then I try to sit down and hammer some stuff out. But inevitably, there's emails and employees and stuff I have to take care of first thing, and I often get so ambushed in the morning that it's noon before I even think about it. So then I'll do some writing at work. But no, I think about it a lot when I can focus on it. But yeah, a lot of my inspiration comes from my car drive.
I am constantly, yeah. It's my job kind of fluctuates in how much direct intervention, for lack of a better word, that it needs for me. So, because a lot of what I do is automated scripts and whatnot, so sometimes I'll have to have the script running. It'll have to kind of do things. So while it's running, I'll tab over and I'll get some notes down and I get some ideas down, and then I'll tab back and make some more changes and so I'm kind of flipping. So technically, I'm doing more than just thinking about writing.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you all for your questions. We're going to stop that there. From this point, we invite anyone that's not normally here to remain in the channel, do their thing. And, we'll be around a little bit. It's kind of gotten a little hot in our office, so I'm probably going to get up for a minute and tweak the air. But again, it's been a pleasure. We always enjoy doing this. We'll do this again in October, where we will have our spooky spectacular, which will be often and very much like this particular one, but maybe with a Halloween theme. And
I'll be in costume.
yes. And again, anyone that may or may not want to do a workshop, we invite you to do it. Thank you, Erie, for spending the time to put that together and, having the bravery to do it. I know that's a challenge. So again, we want to thank you all for being patrons. Thank you for reading. Thank you for commenting. We truly do appreciate it. You're basically the biggest reason why we continue to do what we do. Maybe not why we started, but why we keep going. And it makes a big deal for our enjoyment. So thanks, everybody.